Today, I want to respond to a comment that I got a couple of videos back asking for me to speak on men's mental health. As someone who's actually attempted self harm in the past, and someone that knows several people that have attempted self harm or suicide, I think this is a very, very serious topic and something that I'm going to try my best to stay composed speaking about, but I may have to pause oftentimes in this video. To start, I want to point out that actually 80% of suicides that happen are done by men. And it's very disappointing that our society pushes us in that way. It's such a high number, and it's very, very scary to think about because a lot of my friends are guys, and those of the ones that were strong enough and brave enough to speak to me about their attempts, it's really heartbreaking for me because I wouldn't have actually expected it out of them because uh, in the past I believed that they were like always happy, everything was going fine for them, and I think that's also the problem as well. Oftentimes, as men, we don't really we don't really necessarily think about the feelings of our friends and other men, right? And that's not necessarily something done out of spite, but it's more so done of how society's been constructed, and oftentimes it's just a subconscious thing, and we tend to love talking about like sports, um, like just very shallow things, and oftentimes a lot of men's struggles are not really talked about with friends. And on top of that, um, a lot of substance abuse and addiction goes around men as well, and that kind of leads to the problem. And then on top of that, uh, I think another big issue is that a lot of women are actually encouraged to seek professional help, and they feel more confident in actually doing so. Whereas when a man does it, he may be seen as weak by his peers or maybe parents, grandparents, whatever. And in today's society, um, showing that weakness as a man is often very pressuring. And so when a man refuses to get help from a therapist or reach out to a loved one and admit that they're struggling, it will create a dilemma where the man tries to actually solve these problems on his own. And oftentimes that can come with a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms. And then in turn, all those unhealthy coping mechanisms and not necessarily getting an outside support or perspective, it ultimately leads to suicidal thoughts, right? And so, um, I mean, obviously, my best advice would just be to get help from hopefully a loved one, family member, friend, coach, maybe a professional therapist if you have access to one. If not, you can call 988, which is the suicide hotline, and they're open 24/7. I hit a point in my life where I felt like I was a burden to people close to me, and I didn't want to feel like that any longer. And I called the hotline, and they stayed on the phone with me until I was ready to hang up, actually. And they actually told me that they would follow up with me the next day and keep following up until they were sure that I was safe. And I think a long time ago, I would have seen myself do that and be like, wow, you became that weak that you had to rely on outside sources to pick yourself back up. Like, I feel like you should be able to do that on your own. And now that I see it from where I am today, um, I look at myself in the past and I'm like, you picked yourself up on your own and you ran in the wrong direction, right? and I developed unhealthy habits. Um, I kind of isolated myself from others. I only really cared about making money and getting good grades for myself. And over time, that isolation drove me to worse places than I thought. But I thought that that was helping me recover. And so I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to have had friends that actually encouraged me to get help from therapists and go to the university health services. And I have a friend that actually went through things very similarly to me and told me exactly what he was taught, and that helped me a lot because he had done the work uh, through therapy for months and months, and he was able to relay all that on me, um, and help me recover much quicker than I would have if I had to go through it from scratch. And so, as I said, I neglected mental health for a very long time, and I hit a very low point, and I was fortunate enough to have friends that took me to the university health services, and I saw a psychiatrist, and I was actually diagnosed with anxiety. And I never would have seen that coming in the 19 years of my life. I never thought that I would have those mental problems, and I believed that whatever problems I did have when I attempted self harm and stuff, I believed that I had fought them off on my own, and that I had recovered and I was doing great. But I was wrong, and I think a lot of men in our society try to do what I did in the past, and they may not be fortunate enough to have friends or family members that support getting help externally, and they may be told to just be a man and just suck it up. And I think as our generation, I think that's a generational stigma that needs to be broken. I think that causes problems not only for you when you're told that, but also for people around you and your children if you reinforce that to them. Um, that's a very big issue. I'm sure you can see why. And I think the change starts with our generation, especially with all the resources we have for mental health. I think it's important to get yourself right and then pass that righteousness down. And yeah, for me, uh, I don't believe that I'll ever go back to the thinking patterns that I had in the past. And I hope that this video can help some of you guys get the same point. This is a really personal topic for me, but I think I'm very honored to be asked to speak on this by someone that trusts me, and I hope this helped you. And once again, if you're one of the friends that I spoke about that encouraged me to get help, I actually could not thank you enough because you have no idea. You have no idea how much that meant to me, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.